In the late 1970s, NASA's Viking program was listening. Orbiters and landers mapped and sampled Mars, and in the data they returned, researchers would later identify anomalies in the radio telemetry that no one could cleanly explain. No malfunction was confirmed. No interference source was ever pinpointed. What the instruments recorded simply did not match what they were supposed to be receiving. This is the documented record. 2 events, 4 decades apart. What produced them and why they were logged the way they were is a question the evidence will have to answer. In radio astronomy, a signal that maxes out every receiver simultaneously is not a measurement. It is the absence of one. The instruments can no longer tell you how strong the source is. They only tell you it exceeded everything they could read. The Deep Space Network's receiving arrays are calibrated around known signal environments. Solar wind, cosmic background radiation, transmissions from active spacecraft. Their instruments are built to recognize what belongs. Anything arriving from the direction of Mars that falls outside that expected envelope is flagged immediately, not as discovery, but as anomaly. Understanding that threshold is essential before examining what triggered it. A natural phenomenon capable of doing that, saturating every scale on every instrument pointed at a single point in space, requires an energy output that demands accounting. Solar interference produces characteristic frequency sweeps. Cosmic background events distribute broadly across the sky. Neither of those explanations fits a localized, sustained source sitting at the precise coordinates of Mars. In the summer of 1977, every human-made object near Mars could be counted on one hand. Viking 1 orbiter circling above. Viking 2 orbiter behind it. 2 landers on the surface below. 1 in Chrysoplanitia, 1 in Utopia. That was the complete inventory. 4 spacecraft, all of them built by NASA engineers in California. All of them operating on known frequencies at known power levels under continuous monitoring from Earth. None of them carried the transmitter power to produce what the receiving stations recorded. The orbiters communicated in the S-band range. Modest signals, tightly constrained, nothing capable of saturating a deep space array. When researchers examined the 2021 signal more closely, they found something that resisted every simple explanation. The frequency was not steady, but it was not drifting randomly the way solar noise does. It held a structured, repeating cadence. It was modulating, shifting in structured intervals. Solar wind produces noise. The Martian atmosphere scatters signals. Neither process produces intervals with internal regularity. Randomness leaves a fingerprint. This signal did not have one. Randomness is explainable. It has causes we can name. Structure is different. Structure demands a source. Whatever produced this signal had imposed order on it. That single fact is what kept the file open. 44 years pass. Then in 2021, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance orbiter picks up a signal from the Jezero Crater region. It persists for roughly 73 days. The modulation intervals match nothing in the active communication protocols for any rover or lander operating on Mars at that time. JPL does not log it as instrument malfunction. They classify it as unexplained phenomena. 2 signals, 2 separate decades, 1 planet with no known transmitters. The coincidence had become something harder to name. Scientists mapped every geological feature beneath those coordinates. Subsurface water deposits, mineral formations with electromagnetic properties, fault lines capable of producing piezoelectric signals. None of them were there. In 2022, NASA's Deep Space Network redirected enhanced monitoring equipment to the same coordinates. It listened. The signal did not return. Every natural framework had been tested. Every ordinary exit had been closed. The coordinates held nothing that science could name, and the source of the signal remained formally unattributed. The 2021 detection did not stay isolated. It opened a file that had been accumulating for decades. NASA convened an internal task force to audit every unexplained Martian signal recorded since the Viking missions of the 1970s. Researchers pulled archival recordings spanning more than 4 decades. The 1977 event, the 2021 event. The task force laid them side by side. The structural patterns in each signal were examined under the same audit framework. Not as a formal comparative study, but as part of the broader accounting that the review demanded. What the examination returned was not an answer. It was a problem with a sharper edge. The task force had one documented finding about structural regularity, the 2021 signal. Its modulation intervals were non-random. That much was confirmed. The 1977 Viking anomalies existed in the record, but the archival data from that era did not yield a comparable structural analysis. The comparison the researchers wanted to make could not be fully made. The 1977 event remained categorized as unexplained, not as a match, not as a mirror, just as a prior. Two events on the same planet, separated by 4 decades, both logged as unattributed. The audit had sharpened the question. It had not answered it. NASA has not publicly attributed a cause. The task force produced no conclusion. What it produced was an open file, a record of signals that resisted every framework applied to them, logged by instruments that functioned correctly, from a planet with no confirmed transmitters. The 1977 anomalies and the 2021 detection both sit in that file, unattributed, not explained away, not withdrawn. Science moves by closing questions. This one stayed open. That finding has never been formally closed, and it casts a long shadow over every mission that follows. Perseverance is drilling cores on the same planet. Ingenuity is photographing its surface from the air. The Deep Space Network is still listening. What NASA has not done is stop asking the question. And that, perhaps, is the most honest answer science can offer. Every Mars mission now arriving at Jezero carries instruments designed to look, to drill, to sample. Formerly the sciences geology and astrobiology. The 2021 signal, unresolved, unattributed, sits in the record alongside those objectives. Perseverance is where both streams of inquiry now converge.